I don't know how things are going where you are, but around here, everything feels a bit down. So many people that I know and care about are having a bad time. I've got to be honest, I'm no exception. And I was thinking this morning about ways that I can help to stay positive, even when some of the things that are going on in life feel like they're constantly trying to bring me down. And I was thinking about the attainment of achievable goals and crochet goals. Well, surely they're some of the best goals to achieve. So it sounds really trite, but achieving these small goals that you set for yourself, making targets and hitting those targets when they are targets that it is realistically possible for you to hit, is a great way of giving yourself a bit of a boost when you're feeling like everything's just getting on top of you. So today I wanted to talk to you about the different ways that I'm going to create these little attainable goals for myself in terms of my crochet projects and motivation and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully you can make some little goals for yourself too to do with your crochet world that you can achieve and feel super happy, even if it's just for a moment after you've got to tick them off your list. And it doesn't matter if it's a real physical list or just a little list in your head. So here are just some really, I hope, good and fun ideas of ways that you can keep yourself happy through the medium of crochet and achieving small goals. It's a thing, trust me. Time goals. Time goals are a great kind of goal because they are really, really clear and easy to follow, but we have to remember to make them realistic. Don't say to yourself, I'm going to crochet for 18 hours every day, because even if you are someone who somehow magnificently has that level of time freedom and lack of need for sleep, you're going to hurt your hands and your wrists. Let's make these really realistic time goals. For me, I'm going to say to myself that for the next month, so realistic period of time, I'm going to pick up that crochet hook for at least half an hour every single day. And that's realistic for me. I actually crochet for a lot longer than that on most days anyway, but there are some days where for various reasons I just don't do any at all. So for the next month, every single day, I'm going to do at least half an hour of crochet. And I can either make that a mini goal for myself on every single day of the calendar month, or I can make it an uber goal with a really big tick at the end of the month. But either way, achieving that goal is realistic for me, but it's not super easy, so it'll still feel like an achievement. And I think it will really help me to continue to stay motivated and work on those ongoing projects as well. New stitches. What's great about crochet, one of the many things that's great about crochet, is that there are so many stitches. I've been doing this for over a decade. Whether you've been doing it for 40 minutes or 40 years, there are new stitches that you can find. Pick up an old book, look through an old crochet magazine, go online, find unusual or just ones that you haven't done before, and don't just have a go following the instructions for it, actually learn it. Do it a few times, put down the instructions, do it a few more times, come back to it a day and then 2 days and then a week later. Retain that information, fully learn that new stitch so that you can chuck it into one of your ongoing projects and well, not instant because that's a learning process, but pretty quick, happiness achieved. That's a goal. You can tick it off. You can tick it off after the first time you learn it, or you can tick it off every time you rehearse it as well. Multiple goals attained. Having mentioned books, read a crochet book. And you don't have to read it cover to cover, including author biographies and all the little things in between. You can just flick through it, but have a goal to look through books. I find they're such a great source of inspiration or fun. I particularly love really old, like vintage crochet books with the totally out there clothing designs. They're brilliant fun to look through. I think I've got a video or two on them before as well. But read a crochet book. It's a very achievable goal, even if just the goal is to just flick through the pages. It's a thing that you can do that will help boost your hobby. And there's your goal. There's your little tick in the box of joy. Try a new type of crochet. So this year, the new type of crochet that I tried was broomstick crochet, which was a lot of fun. I really do need to get back and try that again. I loved how it made this sort of big, open, kind of lacy weave. A goal for the future for me is absolutely to have a go with Tunisian crochet. It is a realistic and attainable goal. There are tons of really good tutorials out there, brilliant books on it. That is a totally achievable thing that I can have a go with to tick off my list. Have you done it? It looks like fun. It looks slightly different but the same. Unlike knitting, which I know on paper, right, it's not the same tool, so obviously not the same. Did not realise how different it was. I am bad at knitting. I'm going to persevere, but my apologies to my very patient aunt who is teaching me. Not crochet doesn't make you a natural. But yeah, speaking of achievable goals, achievable crochet goals, try a different type of crochet. Complete a project. This is such a good one. We all have, not just speaking for myself, I'm sure, we all have a ton of partially finished projects. Pick the one that you think you'd enjoy the most finishing, or the one that's the nearliest finished, and finish one of your work in progresses. I have finished, although it's now blocking, but I have finally finished my brightly coloured granny square sweater that I've been making. I am so excited to show it to you. Do you know, it's been so long in the making, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it now, so we can talk about that in a later video, but finish a work in progress. It makes you feel so much better, and that is one of, for me, the most satisfying achievable goals as well. Destash some yarn. That kind of sounds like a reverse goal, doesn't it? But I don't know about you, but when my world around me feels disorganized and cluttered, my brain feels more disorganized and cluttered. I like to keep my crochet room, which is 50% crochet room, 50% reptile room in reality, really quite tidy. And obviously that's one of the reasons for it, is that there's a lot of animal stuff in here as well, so it all has to be kept very clean, and it's quite humid as well. But I digress. Having your yarn stash either better organized, or whether it's color coordinated so it's pretty, or so that the different brands or weights are together, whatever way makes it feel more organized for you, organizing it, that's a big tick and a big attainable goal you can achieve. Or just getting rid of some of the stuff you're not going to use. Like, I impulse buy sometimes things that realistically I'm literally never going to use, like the really beautiful kind of dip dyed but sock weight yarns that you see at craft fairs. I have bought a couple of those over the years. What a ridiculous thing to do. I have never made socks. I'm never going to make anything with sock weight yarn, but it was so pretty. Giving it away is the best thing that I could and have done with that type of yarn. The other thing that you can do, obviously, is you can sell it. Give it to a charity shop. Give it to a friend. Sell it online. Sell it to a friend if you have that kind of relationship. I'm not judging. But getting your yarn stash more organised, I really strongly feel that most of us can benefit from that, and that it feels like a goal that we can achieve. And when we achieve it, not only will we be happy that we've achieved a little goal, but it'll also make your life a little bit nicer and more organised maybe. That being said, buy new yarn. So there's a goal that we can all achieve, right? But not just any yarn. Buy one that you've been wanting to work with, that you've not worked with. Buy one that is a different weight, a different fibre, a different texture maybe either. For me, one of the things that I find a bit challenging sometimes in crochet is that I am ridiculously over texture sensitive, and there are a couple of yarns that I earmarked for particular toy animals that I'm going to make, but psychologically picking up and working with the yarn that doesn't feel like how I feel like it should feel. It doesn't feel like painful. I just don't like how it feels. It feels different. And different is bad when you're me. I don't know if you feel the same way. Probably if you don't have texture things, this sounds so bizarre, and I'm sorry, but I'm sure some of you feel the same way. But I'm gonna work. I'm gonna make that toy. It's gonna be so cute. Again, I'm not gonna tell you now what it is, but it's gonna be so cute. I'm gonna work with that yarn, and that is an absolutely achievable goal. It is just my own brain, like so often in my life, getting in my way. I'm gonna work that yarn. That's an achievable goal, and I will feel happy and slightly proud of myself when I do that too. Naturally, of course, when you work with a different yarn, you're gonna work with a different hook size potentially. So for example, I have once made a very, very chunky, super bulky yarn, big hook blanket, a granny square one. I really, really love it, and I'm glad I made it, but it was a totally different challenge to work with, and I really felt like I'd achieved something when I finished. Not recommended for people who have pain in their wrists and their fingers and stuff habitually, because that is the only thing in terms of crochet that's ever actually caused me significant wrist pain, was working with that much bigger and thicker yarn. But it was a different kind of thing, and it was really fun to have a go with. And finally, I would highly recommend just trying to make a different thing. And again, make it on an achievable scale. So If you have never done a garment before, don't say to yourself, I'm going to crochet myself a wedding dress, unless you're extremely ultra cool like that. Think of a thing that you have not made before and give it a go. A different type of crochet. So for me, my main focus is toys. I make a lot of blankety things as well. I love a granny square. But if I were to go slightly outside of my comfort zone at the moment, I would make more garments and things. I've made a few of them before, but it's a slightly different thing for me. And that is definitely something that I can put on my list and make. When I eventually get the courage up, I would really like to try and crochet a sock, maybe even a pair. But I'm slightly intimidated because once I tried to make a Christmas stocking and it's the worst thing I've ever made, and I'm sorry. Hopefully this is not a necessary video for you, and hopefully everything is going super well in your life and everyone's feeling really positive, and yay if that's the case. But if, like me, you're having more of a tough time than normal at the moment, this is obviously not going to solve all of our problems, but anything that brings you a little bit more focus, a little bit more achievement, a little bit more pride, something that can just give you that small kick of happiness by achieving those little goals within this hobby that we all love, I think can't be a bad thing, can it? Talk to me, tell me in the comments section below, was that useful? Are you going to do it? You're going to make a big list with me and tick stuff off and feel tiny amounts of happiness over doing a thing? Have you already got that kind of self-motivation thing going on? How are things going? Tell me, talk to me in the comments section below. I'll see you there, and as always, happy crocheting.